rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Thank you for standing.
Bless us, O Lord, as we gather here to give you praise. Bless these symbols of African tradition. Bless these candles, which represent the values of our motherland. We now make these values part of our lives.
Give us understanding and wisdom. Oh God, as we can free our brothers and sisters from misguided values. Help us to embody true community.
O Ancient of Days, as we recall the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, we request your presence. Well, good afternoon and welcome to our celebration of Kwanzaa. I greet you in Swahili, the language of Kwanzaa, of Arigani, wishing you a blessed Kwanzaa. So I guess the first question is, what is Kwanzaa? Kwanzaa is a 7-day celebration created in 1966 by Dr. Mailana Karenga, a professor and chairman of Black Studies at Cal State Long Beach. It was after the Watts riots in Los Angeles that Dr. Karenga searched for ways to bring the African Americans together as a community. He started to research African first fruits or harvest celebrations by combining aspects of several different harvest celebrations, such as those of the Ashanti and those of the Zulu. He created this week-long celebration known as Kwanzaa, which begins the day after Christmas and ends on New Year's Day. He had 3 purposes in mind when he created this holiday. 1, he wanted to reaffirm and restore African heritage and culture. 2nd, he wanted to introduce and reinforce the Nguzo Saba, or the 7 principles. And finally, he wanted it to serve as a nationally celebrated communal and non-heroic holiday. Since the time of its inception, this celebration of Kwanzaa has spread from being a local holiday to national and, yes, international. And even though Kwanzaa began as a cultural celebration seen as an alternative to Christmas, it's transformed into a celebration shared by those who also celebrate Christmas. At its inception, many thought it was anti-Christian, but over the years, Christians have developed ways to incorporate their faith in the celebration while still highlighting the cultural content.
That's right. And not everybody was willing or ready to give up Christmas. But we did like the idea of having our own holiday. It was during that time of creativity and cultural evolution that we made Christmas our own with the cultural classic that has endured through the years, and it only gets bigger and better with time. Some of you may know this song, but we happen to have the writer of this song present with us. And I think we've celebrated over 50 years of this classic, Ms. Nadine McKenna, who sits here.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, gosh. I didn't know that.
Hang on the mistletoe. I'm gonna get to know you better. And as we trim the tree, how much fun it's gonna be together. Fireside is blazing bright. We're caroling through song was recorded by Donnie Hathaway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we said that Kwanzaa is a celebration. So how do we celebrate it? We've said that it begins on the 26th of December and ends on January 1st, but what do we do on those days? Well, we begin Kwanzaa celebration with what's called libations. And this is where we pour out libations to honor those who came before us, our ancestors, those people who had a meaningful impact on our lives. And so we're going to pour libations now. And I'm going to ask for you to help me. So I'm going to ask you, just all at the same time, to call out names of your ancestors, whether they be from your personal family or your community or somewhere outside of the actual community you grew up in, just someone who had a positive impact on your life. So let's call out those names.
Doris, and Elmer, and Mark, and Loretta, and Marvin,
Leonard Reed,
and Ruth Malone,
Peter Long,
and Joseph Malone,
James Cleveland.
and all those beautiful family members.
And we do this to honor those who have gone before us, recognizing that we've only been able to accomplish what we've accomplished because of those who came before us. And as we pour our libations and as we call out those names, we say, Ashe.
Ashe.
Didn't hear anything. Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay, there we have it. So you will see that on the table, we have set up all of the things that we need to celebrate Kwanzaa. First, let me talk about the colors, because the colors have significance. We see that we have a black candle in the middle, and that signifies the people of African descent. We have the red candle, which signify their struggle, the struggle that they have gone through to get from yesteryear to where we are now, the improvements they've been able to make in the community. And then the green is for the hope of the future. Now, I mentioned in the introduction that Christians also celebrate Kwanzaa, and one of the things that they've done is they've incorporated a white candle, and this is the Christ candle, because for the Christian community, they believe that all of the values are universal, and all of the values of Kwanzaa spring from God, who is creator. And so you can see how it's transformed to include the Christian community. And so the things on the table also have meaning. This is called the kinara, and so that is what holds the candles. We have the corn here that represents the fruit of our community, our children. We have the unity cup, which we used, and then we have these gifts. These are called the sawadi, and those are for the children and adults alike, but those are not given out until the 7th day. And because this is a community celebration, I'm going to ask at some point for those of you in the community to help in the celebration as we go through it. We do have 7 candles because there are 7 principles. The black candle will be the one that we light first. If we were in the Christian community, we'd light the white candle, and we'd light all of the other candles from the white candle. And then we would light the candles from left to right in a rotating way. So the first day is the unity candle, the black one. The second day would be the red candle on the far left. The third day would be the green candle, and we'll go back and forth in the lighting of the candles. So we're going to start with our first principle. And what we're going to do is I'm going to say the name of the principle, and then you're going to say the name of the principle. So our first principle is umoja.
Umoja.
Okay, that's pretty good. Let's try it again. Umoja.
Umoja.
And umoja is unity. And the principle is that we strive for and to maintain unity in our family and in our community. Umoja is the first and foundational principle of the Nguzo Saba, which is the 7 principles. For without unity, all of the other principles suffer. Unity is both a principle and a practice of togetherness in all things good and of mutual benefits. If we were in the Christian community, we'd use a scripture to undergird it, and we would say that the human body has many parts, but the many parts make up one whole body. Regardless of religious beliefs, party affiliation, or any of the many things that divide us, we are one people, united together. That would be our black candle. Do I have someone who would come and be our volunteer to light our black candle? Don't everybody get up at once.
Yeah.
And the winner is.
Yeah. Spirit. Beautiful. Yay. Spirit. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. The beautiful winner.
Our second principle, which is today's principle, because Kwanzaa actually started on yesterday, the 26th. So today is the second principle. And the second principle is a bit of a challenge to say, but we're going to try it. It's Kuji Shagalia.
Kuji Shagalia.
Oh, you guys are great. All right, I like it. So on this day, Kuji Shagalia is self-determination. It means to define and name ourselves, as well as to create and speak for ourselves. This means that we express ourselves both in commitment and in practice. It demands that we as an African people define, defend, and develop ourselves instead of allowing or encouraging others to do it for us. It requires that we recover lost memory and once again shape our world in our own image and interests. It is a call to recover and to speak our own special cultural truth to the world and to make our own unique contribution to the forward flow of human history. This was the principle that influenced our desire to no longer be identified as Negro, but rather as Black people. Within 2 years, James Brown encouraged us to say it loud.
I'm black and I'm
proud.
Yay.
And so what would you do on today if you were in a family or community? Well, there's some questions that you might pose to those in your family or your community. 3 questions. You might ask them to answer the question, who am I? The question, am I really who I say I am? And third, am I all that I ought to be? These are questions of history and culture, not simply queries or questions of your personal identity. They are questions of personal identity, but more profoundly, they're questions of our collective identity based and born out in historical and cultural practice. And the essential quality of that practice must be quality of self-determination. To answer that question, who am I, correctly, is to know and to live one's history and to practice one's culture. To answer the second question, who am I really, is to have and employ a cultural criteria of authenticity. And the answer of the final question, am I all that I ought to be, is to self-consciously possess and use ethical and cultural standards which measure men, women, and children in terms of the quality of their thought and practice in the context of who they are and must become in both an African and a human sense. Kuji Shagalia. Can I have a person to come and volunteer to light our second candle? It'll be the one on the far left, the red candle.
All right. Wonderful. She's the prettiest lady in the room.
Coming of age in the 60s, during the time when Kwanzaa was first introduced, everything was either black or white, mostly white. And we were the revolutionaries. We rebelled against everything. We wanted to change the world as we saw it. And so the principles of Kwanzaa inspired us to want to know more about our history, our culture. We wanted to know about Africa. But unfortunately, after watching way too many Tarzan movies, Africa was a place that we had to learn to love and to be proud of and embrace as a place that was our own. Particularly after we were told that there was no Negro land for us to go back to. And so during that time, I met a young lady from Africa. Her name was Lilette Mbute. And she told me that the African village that she came from, every family had a trade, a job. It was a responsibility that serviced the greater needs of the community. Some were farmers, some carpenters, some storekeepers, bankers. And in her case, she came from a family of singers, like Wendy and Anitra. And there were even families of storytellers. And so we understood that storytelling, it's no coincidence that storytelling became a big part of the Kwanzaa tradition. We realized that it was all of our responsibility, individually and collectively, to preserve culture and history. And we reasoned that when God made the sun shine, he placed the spotlight on every last one of us, not just some of us. And so we told ourselves that the stories we tell about ourselves and one another would help to define our culture. The stories we tell will help to more accurately preserve our history, lest we forget. Now, a few years ago, quite a few, I attended my 25-year high school class reunion back in Chicago, Illinois. Now, me and my classmates and we come up together ever since the 3rd grade. So that means I know these people a long time, right? I know them. So at the reunion, we commenced to reminiscing and carrying on. And we remembered the time when Martin Luther King Jr. himself moved into our neighborhood. Now, I remember it was right around the corner from where I lived over on 16th and Avenue, 16th and Avenue, on the 3rd floor apartment building on the 2nd floor over Wallace Dry Goods Store. Now, that was right across the street from Big Percy. So at the reunion, I told my classmates about a photographer fella I had met in California by the name of Roland Charles. Now, Roland, he was working on what they call the pictorial review of the civil rights movement. So I went to his studio, they call it the Black Gallery, and I was looking in his picture book. And lo and behold, I see the picture of Reverend King, and he was surrounded by some children. Well, I recognized them right away. It was Isaiah Branch, Sarah Brunson, my classmate Geraldine, and some other children we had gone to school with.
God.
And on that next page, Dr. King was delivering a speech from the back porch of that building in our old neighborhood. That was like right off of Clark Supermarket parking lot. So I'm looking at the picture, and I'm saying to myself, what I'll be. And Roland, looking over my shoulder, misunderstood the source of my amazement. He said, yeah, that's quite a piece of history there, ain't it? I said, what you talking about, Roland? Ain't no history going on in that picture. Now, I know what I was talking about because I was there, you see. I said, look at that picture, man. Oh, Isaiah Branch, he didn't even comb his nappy head. Now, you know you got to comb your hair for history now, right? Oh, you got to comb your hair for history? History break out, somebody take a picture, there you is. You stuck with a nappy head from now on.
Oh, God, I love it. I love it.
You not only embarrass your parents, but your children, your grandchildren, and their children too. Or you just can't go back and comb no nappy head picture. I don't care if you Oprah Winfrey or whoever.
Oprah Winfrey.
You just can't do it.
Oh, God.
So I know it wasn't no history going on that day, because like I said, I was there. So I told Roland, as a matter of fact, I remember the day that picture was taken. Because 2 days later, I was with Dr. King and on the day that him and Dick Gregory went down and placed the list of demands on the doors of City Hall, along with what they call a manifesto. Now, man, David, he wasn't there. But a few hours before that, we was all over at the soldier field. Now, don't ask me why they call it the soldier field, because I never seen no soldiers there. Except in 1962, when I was marching in the Kennedy parade when JFK was running for president. They had some soldiers there then. Other than that, it was just Gail Sayers and the fellas playing the football game.
Oh, okay.
But they wasn't playing the football game that day because, like I say, Dr. King had come to town to say his speech. So I remember sitting at the soldier field, and I'm looking down on the field, and it was a fella, what was that boy name? He had a peculiar sounding name. It was Stokely Carmichael. Now, what kind of name is that for a color fella? Who's his people? Lucy McGillicuddy?
Oh, Lord.
Stokely Carmichael, he was standing down in the middle of the soldier field. He had his fist balled up way up in the air, screaming at the top of his voice, "Black power! Black power!" Like he was crazy. Now, we didn't pay Mr. Stokely Carmichael no never mind, because we figured the boy was kind of mental, you understand? Because back then, anybody who stood up and called that many colored folk black to their face, they was subject to get some power
Oh.
right upside their head. Not unless you were looking to catch a whooping.
Okay.
And if so, call one of us black, and then we could accommodate you.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
say that was some, no, that wasn't no history. That was no history stuff.
I don't know history stuff.
Excuse me. Did I see Miss Mahalia Jackson sing her song Precious Lord?
Yes, yes.
I just said I was there, right?
Yes.
I said I was there. Now, if I was there, Miss Mahalia Jackson was there, why wouldn't I sing her song, Precious Lord? But that's all right. That's all right. Not only did I see Miss Mahalia Jackson sing her song, Precious Lord, when the program was over, I went down there on the soldier field and I shook her hand. I shook her hand with that hand right, I swear to God, I shook her hand with that hand right there. And you know what? Miss Mahalia Jackson, she shook my hand right back. I swear to God. She shook that one. The hand wasn't that big then, but she shook it. And you know, when I went down there, Miss Mahalia Jackson, she shook my hand. And you know what Miss Mahalia Jackson said to me? You want to know what Miss Mahalia Jackson said?
Yeah.
You want to know?
Yeah.
Y'all really want to know what Miss Mahalia Jackson said to me?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I'm going to tell you what Miss Mahalia Jackson said to me. She shook my hand and she said, God bless you, son. Whoa! You know, I suspect Miss Mahalia Jackson must have had some influence with the Lord because he been blessing me ever since. So after that, she got in her car. It was brown. It was a brown Cadillac car. And they drove her on off the field. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I took that same hand and I went over and I shook Dr. Mr. King hand. And see, now, there you go. Now he's saying, I was shaking the hand of history. Mister, I was not shaking no history hand. I was just having a simple handshake with my neighbor. Now, I don't told you, he stayed around the corner from where I live, over on 16th and Hammond, on the 3rd floor apartment building, on the 2nd floor, over Wallace's dry goods store.
Okay.
Now, my sister Joanne, she used to work there. Wallace was a short, fat guy. He had a big old stomach, sitting up like that. And sit down there, and his pizza. Everybody coming, hey, how y'all doing? That was Wallace. But you know that, you know where that was, right?
Oh,
Right across the street from Big Percy.
from Big Percy.
So, but it wasn't no history going on that day. I know this for a fact, because I remember that day. That day started and ended like every other day. The sun came up and it went down. And there wasn't no history going on that day. Now, I know what I'm talking about, because I was there.
History. Oh, that's great. That's great. That's so great. Oh, that's great.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired. I am weak. I am worn through the storms, through the night. Lead me on through the night. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home.
That brings us to the third day, Ujima.
Ujima.
Let's try it again, Ujima,
Ujima.
which is collective work and responsibility. It's to build and maintain our community together, to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. This third principle is Ujima, and it is also a commitment to active and informed togetherness on matters of common interest. It's also a recognition and respect for the fact that without collective work and struggle, progress is impossible and liberation is unthinkable. Ujima means to accept the fact that we are collectively responsible for our failures and setbacks, as well as our victories and our achievements. And this holds true not only on a national level, but also on the level of organizations and families. Such a commitment implies and encourages a vigorous capacity for self-criticism and self-correction, which is indispensable to our strength, defense, and development as a people. Our third candle. Do I have a volunteer? Say it again. We can light it from the unity candle.
Light 'em up.
I think we can all recognize that this third principle that we saw during the pandemic, where you saw people from all over coming to work together because resources were scarce. And so we need to practice more of that. Our fourth principle, Ujama,
Ujima.
that is cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. This fourth principle is essentially a commitment to the practice of shared social wealth and the work necessary to achieve it. It literally means familyhood and suggests sharing work and wealth in the manner of a family. It grows out of the fundamental communal concept that social wealth belongs to the masses of people who created it, and that no one should have such an unequal amount of wealth that it gives them the capacity to impose unequal, exploitative, or oppressive relations on others. There's a biblical application to this principle. The Bible says, "Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, so there will be enough food in my temple. If you do, says the Lord of heaven's armies, I will open the windows of heaven for you. I will pour out a blessing so great you won't have enough room to take it in. Try it. Put me to the test."
World won't get no better if we just let it be. Oh no, 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 no. The world won't get no better. We gotta change the world, just you and me.
All right.
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more back with things thinking ahead. The world won't have so very long before our judgment day. Won't you teach the children before they pass away? The world won't get no better if we just let it be. The world won't get no better. We gotta change the world, you and me. And that's what I want to talk to you about for a few minutes. Nia, which Joyce is going to explain to you in just a minute, but Nia is about purpose. And in life, we all need purpose, right? Purpose means, in this context, developing our own community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. So recently, in my community, we're in the 15th district in a little town, little bedroom community called San Pedro. Some of you may have heard about it. It's beautiful. If you haven't been there, you must come and visit. Being in the demographics, we have 50% Latinx, as they say now, Hispanic, but we have about 33% considered white, and then we have a small percentage of those of African descent. About 6% are African Americans. So when I first got there, and we've been living there, my husband and I, Bob Farrell, is here with the camera in his hand, former Los Angeles City Councilman of the 8th District. Please give him some love.
Yay, Bob.
The Honorable.
Yeah.
Being in the music industry for all of my life, I had questions about what was happening in my community with music. It's an artist community. If you've never been there, we have a lot of artists, what do you call those, studios, and we have the art walk that they do every first Thursday of the month, and we have murals and just art all over the town now. And so I used to ask, where was the music? Where's the music? And nobody could ever give me an answer. So one time I went to a public meeting held at the San Pedro Chamber of Commerce. And they allow you to speak at the end. And I think I was feeling some kind of way by then, because I was feeling like agitated that there was no, it was a little music here, a little music there, but not us music. And felt a bit angry, if you will. So everything seemingly was about visual arts. So I made up my mind that I was going to speak that day. So at the end of their meeting, they said, does anybody have a comment? And I was like, yes, I do. And I was begging the question, where in this town is the music? And they kind of got quiet. They just kind of looked at me like, we don't know. And so and then one of the women said to me, well, you should ask and go talk to so-and-so and so-and-so. And I said, I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm not asking for permission. I plan to do something. I made a proclamation at that moment. I plan to bring music into this community that represents me. And they were very quiet, like you guys are right now. They were quiet, and I left the meeting, and one of the ladies that had brought me to the meeting, she kind of said, well, Wendy, that's kind of a little harsh there or something, or, like I didn't have the right to speak out or to speak up about that. And I was like, well, hey, it's done now, so now they know I'm here. So the following year, I made up my mind to do the very first, which was the inaugural San Pedro Music Festival in San Pedro at the Morning Grand. And it was held on May 12th of 2019 on Mother's Day. And it was well attended, it was beautiful, we had music. My idea was to have music of everybody represented in our community. So it was very nice. And then came the pandemic. So 2020 we couldn't do it, in 2021 we couldn't do it. But we did it again on July 31st, 2022, this year.
Great.
And I'm very proud to tell you that we were able to hire musicians. I mean, hundreds, well, I won't say hundreds of musicians, but when you add up all the people that we were able to hire, entertainers, rental companies, food trucks, and we just made a significant representation of our music. Inclusive, all inclusive of everybody else. And my idea was to bring the community together, and especially after we had gone through the pandemic, we were disjointed. Some of us were sad, many of us had lost loved ones. Oh, it was so much, and I don't have to tell you. And we were shut in, we couldn't go anywhere for a while. And my husband got very close at that time. We talked, we played games, we sang together. I mean, it was wonderful in that sense, but a lot of people suffered. So, purpose. The purpose was to bring the community together. And I just want to take this moment to say, when we celebrate Kwanzaa, we are not excluding anybody with that same consciousness, because these are simply principles. So you can celebrate with us. You are welcome to celebrate Kwanzaa with us. It's just something we needed to do. As you know, we were brought here by force to this country. And a lot of times it feels as if I don't belong here. And it's sad. However, I got purpose, and I decided, well, I am here. And because I'm here, I'm going to make a difference. Not only in music, but wherever I go. I want to shine a light that would make you feel better than you did when you came in. And I hope that this day is the day that you embrace Kwanzaa the way that we embrace Kwanzaa, because these principles apply to all generations, all people, regardless of the color of your skin or anything like that. So, world won't get no better if we just let it be. The world won't get no better. We gotta change the world. We gotta change the world. We gotta change the world. Just you and you and you and you and me.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
What a beautiful expression of purpose. The fifth principle, Nia,
Nia.
to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. This fifth principle of the Nguzo Saba is essentially a commitment to collective vocation so that we will build, we will develop, and we will defend our community, its culture, its history, and doing so in order to regain our historical initiative and greatness as a people, and to add to the goodness and beauty of the world. The assumption here is that our role in human history has been and remains a key one, that we, as people of African heritage, share in the great human legacy Africa has given to the world. That legacy is one of having not only been fathers and mothers of humanity, but also fathers and mothers of human civilization. Our fifth principle, we have someone who will come and light our second red candle.
Nice skirt.
Right, that's it. Oh, thank you. Red, black, and green.
Our next principle, Kwanzaa,
Kaumba.
creativity.
Cool.
To always do as much as we can, in the way that we can, in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. This sixth principle is Kwanzaa, and it logically follows from and is required by the principle Nia. It is a commitment to being creative within the context of the national community vocation of restoring our people to their traditional greatness, and thus making sure we are leaving something positive as a legacy to those who follow us. You can identify them by their fruit. That is, by the way they act. Can you pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? A good tree produces good fruit, and a bad tree produces bad fruit. A good tree can't produce bad fruit, and a bad tree can't produce good fruit. So every tree that does not produce good fruit is chopped down and thrown into the fire. Yes, just as you can identify a tree by its fruit, so you can identify people by their actions. Okay, so let's light the next candle. I have a volunteer, here we go.
Kaumba. Kaumba, kaumba. Yeah, she's an artist. No, she's an artist. Yay! Yay, Katumba!
So our next is Imani, which is faith. To believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. This seventh principle is Imani, and it is essentially a profound and enduring belief and commitment to all that is of value to us as a family, as a community, as a people, and as a culture. Faith is put forth as the last principle, as unity is put forth as the first principle, and this is for a definite reason. It's to indicate that without unity, we cannot begin our most important work, but without faith, we cannot sustain it. Unity brings us together and harnesses our strength but faith in God and each other inspires and sustains the coming together and the commitment to take the work to its end. And as the Bible says, faith is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about the things we cannot see. I managed to skip a candle. It was for Nia. So enthralled with Wendy singing, knocked me off.
Understandable.
I know, I was so moved. I was like, what happened here? On the sixth day, which is December 31st, there's a feast. It's called the Karamu. And people decorate the table with ears of corn. And there's one ear of corn for each child that's in the house because they represent our future. There are also seasonal fruits, and there's the unity cup. And at that meal, we all drink from the unity cup together. And so by these Kwanzaa principles, we are affirming the values that we hold as a family and as a community. We are drawing upon the wisdom from our African ancestors. Our prayer is that we will continue to remember the glory of African past, that God will bless our efforts, and that his divine hand will lead and guide us to the beloved community.
My skin is black, my arms are long, my hair is woolly, my back is strong enough to take the pain inflicted again and again. What do they call me? My name is Aunt Sarah. Aunt Sarah, Aunt Sarah. My skin is yellow, my hair is long, between two worlds I do belong. My father was rich and white. He forced my mother late one night. What do they call me? My name is Saffronia. My skin is tan, my
sweet thing.
My skin is brown. My manner is tough. I'll kill the first mother I see, because my life has been rough. I'm awfully better these days, because my parents were slaves. What do they call me? Each other's hearts, cause we were friends from the very start. It doesn't matter if you're red, yellow, brown, black or white. The question is, the two wrongs make a right. We need to stop making each other's hearts broken and come together like we are one big token. Look at all the things that we missed. We spend too much time being prejudiced. We need to start believing in who we are, cause each one of us is a work of art. Colors, colors. Can't you see colors? Colors, they fit us perfectly. We need to start seeing each other inside out, cause loving one another's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And
just perfectly. Whether red, yellow, brown, black or white, just be proud. Just be proud to me. Oh, colors. Beautiful colors, can't you see? If there's a color for love, the color would be you and me. Color for love, that color would be you and me. You and me. If there's a color for love, that color would be you and me.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, our narrator, George Reed's Kitchen. Soul Boy, Miss Wendy Barnes.
Yes.
Multi-talented Miss Anita Cassaway.
And ladies and gentlemen, our fearless leader, Miss Maureen's Kitchen.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed the show. A special thank you to Ms. Shirley Berry for helping with the centerpieces. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you.
If I didn't. This is perfect, honey.
Sweatshirt means because I looked it up.
52 years. 52 years. Is that amazing?
That is
If I didn't cry
amazing.
so hard, I'd make the camera work.
And you didn't get any pictures, and I would love to take a picture with you.
Oh,
They were
we'll do it.
wonderful.
Aren't they something supernatural great? I love them people. I've been loving them so long. We're friends since the 70s. We all came from Chicago,
Chicago.
California.
South Side.
Oh, okay.
My mom lived in Allgale Gardens.
Really? Oh my God, this is
And went to
amazing.
Carver High School.
Yes.
My
Oh,
mom
wow.
did.
I love it. I love it.
I was born in 1970. So
Okay.
she graduated high school in 1970.
I love this
Carver
story.
High School.
Oh God, I've got some old papers in Chicago,
Oh.
and it says I had fan club members from my Johnny Mathis fan club. They were at Carver High School, Hyde Park High School, and some other high school, 3 high schools. But this was back in the 60s, 100 years ago.
Thank you.
This is so great.
And did you know your song this Christmas was going to be? I mean, it is
Classic all
still,
the time.
it's a classic and it's been redone.
Honey,
and
over
I just
200
love
times.
it.
And people think I'm supposed to have all the money. I don't know where the money went. I think it went to this company and that company. But maybe before, I'm 81 now. Before I get to 82 or 3. If I live that long, I'll go and have another audit. It makes sense.
See,
It
and I
makes
have a
sense.
friend that's trying now
Really?
who sang on a song that made so much money,
Money? Uh-huh.
and she didn't get any credit for it.
Oh.
She's really tried.
Oh,
And I think with social media, she's asking people to